It is a family weekend, and we do join you in celebrating and observing everything that works around weekend times. A very good evening, and thank you for joining us on today's edition of News at 8 here on Church of Uganda Family TV. My name is Philip Melissa, and here we are to bring you up to speed with what is happening in the country from all the corners, but also taking you on the outside of the country to tell you what is happening and making news from across the globe. And at the moment, we do take a look at the top stories, and certainly we do return with everything in details.
Headlines brought to you by
Centenary Publishing House, the leading publishers of prayer and hymn books since 1977. Among them we have Ateso, Luo, Runyankole Ruchiga, Runyoro Toro, and many other Ugandan languages. Contact us on 0756 174 168 for more information.
In our weekend edition, journalists trained on inclusive disability reporting, equipped to report more effectively on persons with special needs, urged to amplify disability.
And reports on people with disabilities, they are mostly portrayed in a pitiful way. They even when they are successful, they bring out, they name them basing on their disability. The headlines are.
Also tonight, poor sanitation grips Gaba Market landing site. KCCA threatens to shut down market citing health concerns. Vendors given 72 hours to improve situation. And from around the globe, massive blast levels Dallas apartment complex after reported gas leak. Once again, I do thank you for joining us on today's edition of News at 8 and starting us off this evening. In a bid to protect required sanitation standards, today the Kampala Capital City Authority carried out inspection services while engaging in cleaning activities at Gaba Market and landing site. Here, the team discovered the unbecoming filth surrounding the market, including drainages clogging due to excessive waste, poor quality, overused cooking oil, and other tendencies. Vendors have been given 72 hours to improve and work on their sanitation quickly, but the market is to face temporary closure. Either way, we do take a look at what is at Gaba Market.
Kampala Capital City Authority, the body responsible for keeping the city in check, today carried out voluntary cleaning work at Gaba Market and landing site. They focused on drenching drains with stagnant water, removing waste and unclogging areas that had become blocked around people.
Nga program ya KCC etuyamba okujjukiza omuntu munna Kampala okubeera omusaale okwefambo obuyonjo obulamu naye ebifo bye tusinga okubeeramu nga tuzze okuyamba tusanga abantu nga balina obunafu bungi. Olwaleero tuzze eGaba ku mwalo, wano waliwo akatale banji kufe tukettanira baagala okulya ku kyennyanja wano olwajja naye tusanze akatale k'Egaba olwaleero nga kanafu nnyo kacaafu awali ebyennyanja bye tujja okulya eGaba wabadde wa Germany. Tuterekawo ebintu bitasaanye tuteekawo, tufumba ebyennyanja, tusiika ebyennyanja. Twabye butto bwe tukozesanga butto bubi nnyo muddugavu ddala. Bwe tubuuzizza bamugjawa tufunye okumanyisibwa nti bagula butto bwe bamaze okumbesaako abantu ne balyoka bamuleeta wano. Naye ate ne bw'omulaba alimu leeya 2 oba 3 kiraga nti ate bwongeddemu ekintu ekirala ekitali bwe. Tulowooza nti bino bijja kuleetera ddala obulabe bannakampala abajja okulya ku byennyanja. Tubakubiriza bannaffe tuzze tufuna endwadde nnyingi. Nsaba ya mpekaano tubonaabona n'ekirwadde ekibaluseewo mu Uganda nga kyava Congo eky'Ebola. Emabega eyo tubadde ne mpox. Ebirwadde bino mu bunafu bwe tusanze wano biba byangu bya kusaasaanya. Nalwekyo tusazeewo section esiika ebyennyanja n'efumba emmere tujja biggalawo oluvannyuma lwa ssaawa 72. Lwaki ssaawa 72? Tusanze balina bye bafumba, tusanze balina bye basiika, baguze ebyennyanja, naye ku bbalaza tujja kuggalawo ebifo ebyo wanegaba. Tumanyi nti nga
Vendors at this market have been given 72 hours to address the excessive sanitation issues and stop using cooking oil that had visibly turned black and could lead to health concerns. The departments mentioned include those dealing in fish and food. The KCCA Deputy ED Benon Chigeny.
Section y'ebyennyanja n'emmere mujja kulaba nti tubagize naye ate tubaagaliza birungi byereere. Ekiraga nti tubaagaliza birungi byereere, KCCA egenda kuleeta wano akatale ak'omulembe, akatale nga kakalina. Twamaze okufuna abasaba bazimba, tunoonya supervisinga consultant, naye tunamufuna nga tutandika okuzimba akatale. Akatale k'eggaba kajja tuyambira ddala okuba nti kayongera okusitula omutindo gw'ekitundu. Kale bannaffe mubeere bagumu, olw'okuba tubaagaliza tujja teekawo akatale ak'omulembe.
He went on to say that the market will be closed on Monday for maintenance, but
tubaagaliza birungi byereere. Ekiraga nti tubaagaliza birungi byereere, KCCA egenda kuleeta wano akatale ak'omulembe, akatale nga kakalina. Twamaze okufuna abasaba bazimba, tunoonya supervisinga consultant, naye tunamufuna nga tutandika okuzimba akatale. Akatale k'eggaba kajja tuyambira ddala okuba nti kayongera okusitula omutindo gw'ekitundu. Kale bannaffe mubeere bagumu, olw'okuba tubaagaliza tujja teekawo akatale ak'omulembe. Naye ekisingira ddala
the KCCA garbage truck was brought so it can collect waste to help them maintain cleanliness of the area and prevent garbage for.
Now, due to the recent Ebola outbreak in the neighboring countries of Uganda and certainly a few cases in the country, the church is unable to hold physical commemoration in the Namugongo but the parish level celebrations are ongoing, and now we link up to Joel Tinkasimira Kiki, who is catching up with Reverend Sira Irumba, the vicar of St. Matthew's Cathedral in Masindi Diocese, to give us an update on the preparations for the celebration of the Martyrs' Day in Masindi Diocese. We do take a look at what is there.
Okay, thank you so much. Down there in the studio, Church of Uganda Family TV News at 8. And of course, Joel Tinkasimira Akiki, Mswazi Mumara Wakaka here in the bulletin. For a quick, I'm here now with the Reverend, the Vicar, St. Matthew's Cathedral. That's in Masindi Kitara Diocese, Reverend Sira Irumba. Nowadays we have termed him a new name, Wekunkumule. He became another gospel reverend, by the way, you can call him like that. Reverend, a very good evening.
Good evening to you.
How are you, sir?
Very fine.
We're live on Church of Uganda Family TV.
Thank you.
By the grace of the Lord, you have been the main person, actually the main man in charge of those going to Namugongo for the past 3 or 4 years, actually, 4 years. And now in the 2026, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, said due to the outbreak of Ebola, he had to stop the gathering at Namugongo. What do you think, Reverend, in such a situation?
As Masindi Kitara Diocese, I'm Reverend Sira Irumba, Assistant Vicar from St. Matthew's Cathedral. And we thank God for keeping us very well. You and me, we are alive. And this is our 4th year that we are going to walk to Namugongo. And we always being eager, we always be happy when we go to Namugongo, walking as pilgrims. But this year we couldn't. We had already mobilized over 150 Christians who were very ready to walk to Namugongo. Though other people, they normally use other means of transport.
Like I was going to use the vehicle.
Exactly. Very many of them, they use buses, and others, they use taxis.
Yeah.
But for us, I'm a coordinator, and we had 150. But unfortunately, because of Ebola disease, we couldn't. We thank our president because we know him as a good leader. A leader can't lead dead people.
Okay.
He doesn't like leading sick people.
Sure.
So he alerted us very fast, and for us, we had already planned to begin our journey on the 25th. We normally walk in using 7 days. 7 days as our walking program.
Unfortunately, you have not managed.
Unfortunately, we have not made it, but we are planning. In case he postpones, we are very ready to walk and begin our journey, even if it is in September, because we feel it.
Now, Reverend, checking on that, can you please highlight, do you have any programs since the celebrations at the Martyrs' Day has been postponed? Do you have other settings at the church?
Yes. Our Bishop, Right Reverend Joshua Kugonza, and the DS Amoti, and our DS, the San Secretary Atenyi, Reverend Canon Mukuru Ronald, they have requested all the clergy to organize services in their parishes.
Respective parishes.
And even us, we are mobilizing our Christians to come to St. Matthew's Cathedral.
Okay.
Though other Christians, they are telling us, we want to go to Namugongo, but we cannot, we may not.
So we expect some gathering around church and different churches within Masindi Kitara Diocese.
Yes, we are organizing, and we are going to use the SOPs. Many people, we shall have distances, sanitizers, and enough water.
Reverend, you are the man behind the Wekunkumule. We have seen now Ebola is breaking down everywhere. They're saying now Ebola is Ebola. How ready are you, Wekunkumule? How are you rating this song of Wekunkumule with Ebola before we go back to the studio?
When anything that comes, it teaches us. So if I can't preach the gospel facing people one to one, I can use the song. So I have produced a song. It is being called Wekunkumule, meaning shed it off. Shed off the loneliness, shed off the witchcraft, shed off the poverty.
Or shed off the fears of Ebola.
Fears of Ebola, our government, shed it off.
Maybe lastly, before I'm getting back, joining down there in the studio, one person was like asking me yesterday when we are actually getting some message down there. You know, Christians, you have feared this time round. You see the Martyrs had to endure the fire. Really, you can't endure just Ebola.
With Ebola, it can kill you. Can kill you. Just within 2 days, you're done, you're gone.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Reverend Sira Irumba, the Assistant Vicar of St. Matthew's Cathedral. And of course, he has said that a number of celebrations will be coming down here in Masindi, Kitoro Diocese, under the leadership of the Right Reverend Joshua Gonza Amoti and the Assistant Secretary, Reverend Canon Mukulu Ronald Atenyi. And of course, I will be getting back to the studio. We shall be getting for you what is the progress. And of course, in case times allows us, we shall be bringing for you current updates there from everywhere down there in where they will be gathering in respective churches, parishes, and of course the archdeaconries. I'm Joel Tingasimire, and of course I've been with the Reverend Sira Irumba. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Are we going to put on masks again, do you think?
In the case.
Let me get back to you in the studio, and of course we continue with news at 8. Back to you at the command center.
Thank you, Joel. Joel, if you can still hear me, I don't know if you can hear me out there. Is Reverend able to give us a cappella of the song out there so that the viewers of News at 8 are able to listen a little bit of how it flows and certainly get a bit of dancing before we push on with more news? Joel? Well, sounds like Joel can no longer hear me, but we do thank you so much, Joel Tinkasimili, for coming live with us to speak about the updates of Matters Day preparations, and certainly thank you, Reverend Irumba, for giving us that update. And please, we do appreciate the preparations out there in Masindi Diocese, and we look forward to the celebrations and how they're going to happen, not just in Masindi, but across the country. And coming back to studio and in more news, schools across Uganda have stepped up Ebola prevention measures as learners return for the second term in a move to protect them against any possible infections. Following directives from the Ministry of Health, schools have been instructed to strictly observe Ebola virus disease prevention standard operating procedures and road safety guidelines to protect learners, teachers, and surrounding communities from contracting the disease. We do take a look at these developments.
Schools across the country have intensified preventive measures to protect learners, teachers, and surrounding communities from Ebola. This follows a directive from the Ministry of Health requiring all schools to strictly observe Ebola virus disease standard operating procedures, commonly known as SOPs, as the second term begins.
That we have been informed that in the border districts, many children come across, they cross to Uganda and study in our schools. We cannot deny those children education at this time. But what we can do is to continue give guidance, to provide the SOPs and implement those SOPs, and we continue to encourage the school administration to put in mechanism to monitor all children.
Speaking to the different schools, the head teacher of St. Mary's College, Rushazura, Christopher Mandi, said the school is fully prepared and has implemented all the guidelines issued by the Ministry of Health. He explained that the school has provided soap, clean water, hand sanitizers, and temperature screening at the main gate to support the early detection and prevention of the disease.
Come to our country, we're informed, the government informed us, they sent us circulars. We have a number of SOPs and soaps, and we are following them strictly. We have hand washing facilities where they are to use the soap, and we also have sanitizers. On every block we have sanitizers, and we're even giving sanitizers free to the students so that we guard against.
Mandi added that the school is working closely with the government authorities, parents, guardians, and students to maintain a safe and Ebola-free learning environment.
From across the country, from northern, from eastern, central, western, and some are from Rwanda. Others are from other parts of the country. But they have reported they look fine. We have tested their temperatures. They look fine because we even bought the temperature guns. To the parents, we need to work as a team. That's when we can move, because together we progress. We want to assure them that we are doing our best being a big family, we are doing our best, but we also need their support.
At Bishop Ashley Memorial Nursery and Primary School, the head teacher, Reverend Tusimi Margaret, said the school has medical personnel on standby and isolation rooms prepared in case any learner develops Ebola-like symptoms.
Because of this problem of Ebola, we have all the gadgets to make sure that we are prepared. We have everything as you have seen them, right away from the gate. We have the medical personnel in school, and we have isolated rooms, especially the one side of the medical side, of which our medical personnel does the work every.
She further commended the school to fully adhere to the government regulations and implement all the commanded SOPs.
Education is kukira kudirenga abantu mu makokwe ubundi bakacererwa konkanywa abazire ba Bishop Asili namba simu kandi mba congratulating abo kuba first day ne very first day kandi abana bija tutandikira aho tushomesa kandi twambirwa okurangwa abana bamarasira bazombuye.
Some head teachers also appeal to the parents to observe Ebola preventive measures at home in order to reduce the risk of infection within the communities.
To wash hands, and almost every child in school, not almost, but every child in school was encouraged to wash hands before entering school. And we placed very many washing facilities in very many places in our compound, especially at the entrance of toilets, such that children, when they are going to toilets, coming from the toilet, they must wash hands. And that water is having a liquid soap within.
As Uganda intensifies efforts to contain the new Ebola outbreak linked to the imported Bundibugyo virus strain, health experts continue to urge the public to strictly follow all the preventive measures.
And because we are the Church of Uganda Family TV, it is about that time that we get to listen to the Archbishop giving us spiritual nourishment in what we call the Archbishop's Moment.
Archbishop's Moment. Sponsored by Uganda Christian University, a center of excellence in the heart of Africa. Join the UCU experience now. And
St. John's Wakiso Secondary School, where faith meets education.
The mind, the mouth, and your moods. Moods. Our moods are very important. Ministers, our moods. Not every time that you are called as a minister to be annoyed. How do you control your moods? Some other people, they can use the pulpit for fighting and quarreling. The moods. You know, your maturity is recognized very well when you are annoyed. When you are annoyed, don't write any letter to somebody. When you are annoyed, don't respond back. Actually, when I am annoyed myself, that's when I keep quiet and pray in order to have my mood. Even when I'm chairing meetings, there are some people in meetings and people know it. People are, you chair meetings, there are those who are, now the only way to disorganize him is to say this. Then you get up, and some sumba. You can destroy your ministry by not tempering your moods. Tell your neighbor moods. Very, very important.
Archbishop's Moment. Sponsored by Uganda Christian University, a center of excellence in the heart of Africa. Join the UCU experience now. And
St. John's Wakiso Secondary School, where faith meets education.
The Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, the Most Reverend Dr. Stephen Samuel Kazimba Mugalu, with yet again another episode of spiritual nourishment that guides us to live very upright lives in respect to the Lord, have trust and faith in Him, and certainly for He will lead us to succeed in our earthly life and as we prepare to head for our eternal citizenship in heaven. And at that moment, we do head into a very short break, and News at 8 will be right back. Welcome back from that very short break, and I do thank you for keeping it news at 8 here on Church of Uganda Family TV. My name is Philip Molisa, and in this second segment, with just 3 days to the Uganda Matters Day, we continue to honor the courage and sacrifice of those who chose faith over fear. Today, we remember Chuan Kagiaza, a younger follower of the Anglican missionaries from the Mpeo clan who, though not yet baptized, willingly embraced death, then renounced the Christian faith during the Namgongo executions of 1886. Oh, Giaza, we do take a look at your... And now, in a rather very special and honorable way, we do bring you updates from the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, and certainly we do take you to Mbale to speak to you, where the Most Reverend Dr. Samuel Stephen Kazimba Mugalu has called on Christians to embrace unity, humility, and collective responsibility in transforming their communities. Dr. Kazimba made the calls while on a pastoral visit and farewell tour of North Mbale Diocese, where he has also encouraged believers to actively participate in the development of their home areas and districts. The Archbishop gives us these spiritual but also lifelong social, political, and economic messages that should give us the best of guidance to live our lives with dignity and indeed responsibly. We do take a look at this message.
Hundreds of Christians gathered at St. Matthew Cathedral, Buhungu, to welcome and bid farewell to the 9th Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, the Most Reverend Dr. Stephen Samuel Kazimba Mugalu, who is expected to retire next year upon attaining mandatory retirement age of 65 as stipulated by the Church of Uganda canons. While preaching to the congregation, Archbishop Kazimba emphasized that unity remains the foundation of a strong and thriving church and society. He noted that division breeds confusion and weakens communities, while unity promotes progress, peace, and success.
Good Christians, we can be many, but if we have one purpose, it is a call to be united for one purpose. It's not a call to forget our individual self, but to align our lives with the teaching of Jesus Christ.
The Archbishop further urged Christians to cultivate humility, compassion, and mutual respect, describing these virtues as essential marks of true Christian discipleship.
Be of all one mind, having compassion of one another, love as brethren, be pitiful and sympathetic, be courteous.
Dr. Kazimba commended Christians in North Mbale Diocese for completing major infrastructure projects, including St. Matthew's Cathedral and Bishop's Residence. He, however, challenged the diocese to embark on the construction of modern diocesan offices to further strengthen its institutional capacity.
And at this note, I want to appreciate you for your contribution towards this cathedral, and I can't forget Honorable Nandala Mafabi. Because now you have a good house, you have a good cathedral, but the offices should be also given attention. I think this is an assignment for the new diocesan chair.
Reflecting on his tenure as Archbishop, Dr. Kazimba highlighted several milestones achieved under his leadership, including the clearance of the long-standing debt on Janani Luwum Church House and the completion of numerous church projects across the province of the Church of Uganda.
I want to appreciate you for standing with us when we are contributing towards the completion of Church House Janani Rumu Church House debt.
Ganakuba sema kwima ninafe nga kulikubusa bidambula byekumaliriza Church House Janani Rumu Church House.
We are now debt free from that project.
Kekuliko aluno niligobiliosiza nadda.
And it was a big debt because we got to 60 billion.
On his part, Bishop of the North Mbale Diocese, the Right Reverend Samuel Gidudu, praised the Archbishop Kazimba for his steadfast leadership and commitment to biblical doctrine. He particularly commended the Archbishop's stance against homosexuality and his leadership during the recent GAFCON conference in Abuja, Nigeria.
In taking a firm stand against the vice of homosexuality and for leading a Ugandan team to participate in the GAFCON conference, which was held in Abuja, Nigeria. Your Grace, under your leadership, we see a fully completed church house standing high at the heart of Uganda's capital city as our pride as Church of Uganda. You've maintained the unity of the House of Bishops.
Political leaders, including members of parliament from the region and Sironko District LC5 chairperson, also expressed appreciation for the Archbishop's spiritual guidance and support to local communities. They acknowledged the role of the church in promoting development and social transformation while requesting continued prayers for the region. The celebrations concluded with Christians and church leaders presenting gifts to Archbishop Kazimba as a token of appreciation for his spiritual, pastoral and transformative leadership during his tenure as the 9th Archbishop of the Church of Uganda.
And on behalf of Church of Uganda Family TV, we continue to join the faithful in thanking the Archbishop for his work well done and contribution to the progress of the Church of Uganda, and indeed for the very many projects undertaken, including the one highlighted of the Janan Luwum Church House, where we as Church of Uganda Family TV find home. And just right now, it is where this bulletin is coming to you live here in the heart of Kampala. We do thank him and do wish him well as he continues to lead the Church of Uganda and indeed in after retirement. Now in more news, Uganda's progressive disability policies remain challenged by limited inclusion in everyday life. With thousands of citizens living with disabilities, the National Union of Disabled Persons of Uganda, together with the Uganda Media Women's Association, has provided a training for journalists aimed at reshaping how disability stories are told. The initiative seeks to amplify voices too often unheard and ensure that persons with disabilities are represented with dignity and accuracy in the media. Our reporter Hope Nyongereza attended this training and we will take a look at how it went.
Despite being legally recognized and represented through affirmative action policies, it is argued that inclusion for persons with disabilities remains limited in practice. Uganda has one of Africa's more progressive disability frameworks, with estimates showing that between 12% and 13.2% of Uganda's population lives with a disability, translating to roughly 5 to 7 million people. In a bid to promote inclusivity for persons with disabilities, the National Union of Disabled Persons of Uganda, in partnership with the Uganda Media Women's Association, convened a workshop for journalists drawn from various media platforms. The training focused on equipping reporters with knowledge and skills to better highlight disability issues, ensuring that persons living with disabilities are meaningfully represented in both society and the stories told about them.
We have had a session on providing them with tips on how to report on people living with disabilities. Why have we done that? Is because when you look at the way media portrays and reports on people with disabilities, and they are mostly portrayed in a pitiful way. They even when they are successful, they bring out, they name them basing on their disability. The headlines are focusing on the disability first than what the person is able to do.
Esther Chozira, Chief Executive Officer of the National Union of Disabled Persons of Uganda, outlined the daily challenges faced by persons with disabilities. She stressed that these realities underscore the urgent need to amplify their voices and strengthen advocacy for greater inclusion.
Continue to face a lot of stigma, discrimination, and harmful practices resulting from our cultural backgrounds.
Ms. Laila Ndagire, Project Officer of the Uganda Media Women's Association, underscored the absence of a strong voice for persons living with disabilities. She noted that the training would empower journalists across different fields to report more effectively on issues affecting persons with disabilities, thereby amplifying their visibility and inclusion in public discourse.
Voices are lacking. For example, we have just concluded the general elections in Uganda, but when you look for stories on people with disabilities, their issues are not in the media. And then tips on how to report better and also how to portray them in their news better, and the importance of having issues and voices of people with disabilities in the media.
She further emphasized the responsibilities expected of journalists, noting that such practices would lead to more accurate and impactful reporting, particularly when covering stories about persons living with disabilities.
So that shows that there is a big gap, and it's easy because they are lacking this training. So as UMWA and MEDIPO, we are looking at empowering journalists to report more about disability and also use disability inclusive language and understand disability at large.
From the Americas, 3 people were killed after a massive fire tore through an apartment complex in Dallas following an explosion, according to authorities. Officials say 2 adult women and a child died, the Dallas Fire Department said. 5 others were injured, including 1 person who was in critical condition and certainly continuing to get medical attention. We do take a look at this unfortunate incident in Dallas.
Tonight, a search for victims after an explosion turned a downtown Dallas apartment building into a towering inferno.
There was just an explosion, literally right by my apartment. Oh my God!
Fire officials say they were responding to a report of a gas leak, and by the time they arrived 2 minutes later, the fire had engulfed the building.
We have gone from rescue mode to recovery mode. We are still actively in recovery mode, and we may be in this mode for the next 2 to 4 hours.
Windows blown out, debris seen blanketing a nearby roof and covering the street.
Everything that wasn't blown to pieces is on fire there. And the concern we have this afternoon with school being out is whether anybody else was inside.
Resident Alta DeBose in shock.
We lived there. We lost our pets. We lost everything we owned. I had 3 rescue cats, Marley, Hoy, and York, and we had 2 dogs.
Nearly 100 firefighters on the scene, flooding the building.
That is 2 stories worth of building, and it looks like it has just flattened down there.
The blast shaking the entire neighborhood.
It felt like the commotion was everywhere because the whole apartment was shaking. I feel very blessed that me and my sister were able to make it out.
And with this is still an active scene, but fire officials say they are investigating the cause of this explosion, including the possibility a contractor hit a gas line. But again, they have confirmed there are fatalities.
And this brings us to the end of the detail of news at 8 this evening. But before we close it out, we will take a look at the top stories once more.
Headlines brought to you by
Centenary Publishing House, the leading publishers of prayer and hymn books since 1977. Among them we have Ateso, Luo, Runyankole Ruchiga, Runyoro Toro, and many other Ugandan languages. Contact us on 0756 174 168 for more information.
In our weekend edition, journalists trained on inclusive disability reporting, equipped to report more effectively on persons with special needs, urged to amplify disability.
And reports on people with disabilities, they are mostly portrayed in a pitiful way, they even when they are successful, they bring out, they name them basing on their disability. The headlines are...
Also tonight, poor sanitation grips Gaba Market landing site. KCCA threatens to shut down market citing health concerns. Vendors given 72 hours to improve situation. And from around the globe, massive blast levels Dallas apartment complex after reported gas leak. I do thank you for being with us through this journey of News at 8 this evening, and certainly do wish you the best of the remaining hours of the weekend. My name is Philip Melissa, and special thanks to the team from production, transmission, the reporters, and indeed the editors. A very good evening, and may you all have freedom.